for us.
Getting back on the field, I know there's been a lot of talk about Terry McLaurin over the last several weeks, but what are some of the things that people talk about guys being quarterback friendly? What are some things that he does that maybe helps you out? Just maybe that's like it's hard for the average person to see, but that you see it and that it helps you out.
I think a lot of it just comes with more reps with him. I think we're getting really comfortable with each other and how we both play. And I think another big part of it is communication. He's not scared to come up to me and tell me what he thinks, and vice versa. So, again, the relationship there is really strong, and hopefully we can just keep building on it.
Are there things that, like in terms of routes and all that make it like little subtle things he does that make it easier for you?
Yeah, obviously him being super fast and making unbelievable contested catches it definitely helps me out, but. I think he understands my strengths and weaknesses and vice versa, and we kind of help each other out in that way.
Looking back at the tape, feels like we always need to ask some version of that. What stood out to you about the offense? What did you like, and what was something maybe that you guys got to improve on
from the Vikings? I mean, the first half. We had some good drives that just got stalled out, whether it was a batted ball or a sack here and there. But I felt like we had a clean game up there until I threw that pick. Other than that, I thought we played a very solid game. But again, this is kind of a weekly deal where we have good drives and we just stall out, and we just have to either convert third downs or stop hurting ourselves. It's one of those two things. So. I think if we just keep working on that, really honing on that in practice and get better at those things, we can put up some more points.
With regards to the tight ends, you guys have a lot of playmakers, obviously a running back and receiver. The tight end production hasn't really been there as much. Just been a ton of injuries there for sure. What's your sense of where that group is at now, and how do you look to utilize them, and how can you get more out of them, I guess, in these games?
Yeah, obviously Logan's been banged up throughout the year, trying to get him back. And then we got a bunch of, we got some rookies out there playing. And, Armani was a quarterback up until, 5 months ago. So he's figuring out, but he's doing a good job. He's progressing well. And, Cole's been hurt. And, again, we have a bunch of new weapons, whether it's running backs or receivers. So, someone's going to be left out. But again, those guys are getting better every week. You can see it during practice, and them being young guys, that's very promising.
Specific to Philly, last year I think you had COVID, or were in the protocol anyway for one of the games and missed that, and then the second game had that tough pick late. Does that stick with you about playing these guys?
The COVID deal, I can't control that. But yeah, that last game stuck with me throughout the whole offseason. Kind of going at everything that we went through last year, and to have a chance to go to the playoffs there. We're driving down the field, we're moving the ball, and that last throw was unfortunate. Bates kind of tripped up on that dude's foot. I think if he didn't, he might have caught that thing and scored. But yeah, you kind of just go back and think about that play. What if he caught that and scored? We might have been in the playoffs, and who knows what would have happened. So, yeah, and they beat us week 2 or 3. Pretty good. So, yeah, we're excited for the opportunity. It's going to be Monday night. It's going to be a hostile environment. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I think the guys are excited for it.
And then specific to that week 3 game this year, do you watch the tape when it's Carson was playing?
Yeah. It's the same defense, and it's our offense, so you can learn a lot from it. But again, that was week 3. We're in week 9, 10 now. So there's some things that have changed, but that's definitely one game that we've watched for sure.
Their D-line dominated that game. Is there something specific that you guys will do differently, or is some of it just your mobility?
I think a little bit of both. The offensive line's different from when it was then, and I think they're playing a lot better too. They're a lot more comfortable with each other, so I have full confidence in those guys to get it done.
Old Dominion plays James Madison this weekend.
Oh.
First time since you've been there. Those were 2 pretty big games for you guys trying to establish yourselves against the best team. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind indulging a trip down memory lane of what you remember about those and what it meant.
Yeah. So freshman year, I think they were number 6 in the nation at that time, and they came to our place. And it was a rainy one. I think there was a hurricane going on during that time, and we pulled out an huge upset against them at home, which is huge for us. And then sophomore year, we went up there, I think it was the last game of the season, and we needed to win that one to win the conference. and we were up there. We were losing by, I think, 10 to 14 at half, and we came out in the second half and dominated and won that one. So, it's every time I hear about people around here talking about JMU, I'm like, hey, ODU's 2-0 against those guys, So it's a fun little game there. But that's a big one for ODU. Is it at ODU?
It is, yeah.
It's at ODU? Yes, I'm sure that stadium's going to be rocking on Saturday.
You're not from here, but I would imagine they caught you up to speed pretty quickly on how important it was going to be to win that one.
Oh, yeah. I've always, because at that time we were in the FCS, so we had a lot of rivals, playing William & Mary, Richmond, JMU. There's another one in there I'm forgetting, but, all those in-state games were huge for us, but JMU was the biggest.
Monday night game, you probably be down there.
I don't know if Coach will let me do that.
Number 9, by the way, the number 6. We had all
Okay,
the details right.
there we go.
Taylor, just kind of going through like the processing of a play while you're scanning the field. Is there time even in your mind as you're looking, like say like well, this is Curtis, he's faster than or more agile than that guy, I can throw the ball here. That's Cam, he's bigger than the defender, I can throw the ball there. Or is that something that you really have to put in place during game planning and anticipate at the line of scrimmage?
There's some certain plays that we're looking for that. There's other plays where it's just, hey, let's read it out. It's pure progression, and we'll go from there. But, when you have a guy like Terry and he's one-on-one, you like your matchup. Maybe you get in the last 2 preseasons, I've had the pleasure to throw the Cam Sims a lot. And, when he's on one-on-one with a smaller corner, maybe you like that jump ball a little bit more than, someone else that's out there. The NFL's, there's a lot more personnel type of looks in the NFL. You have a bunch of guys out there that can play. So you kind of look at your percentages and see, what's my best option here. But, that's not something we really hone in on. It's more just kind of going through the plays and trying to find the right guy.
And then knowing, obviously, a lot of the outside noise is going to be about the upcoming decision, Carson eligible to return, and whether or not they stick with you or go back to Carson. Is there anything in your mind that comes like, I really want to show my teammates, the coaches, this specific thing, or do you think you've already done what you need to do to kind of put your game out there?
I've honestly I don't think about it. Again, that's one of those things I've talked about before where it's out of my control. I was sitting here during OTAs and kind of asked the same question, and it's one of those things where it's, hey, I know my role and I want to do the best at it. My role this year was to be back up to Carson, and if he went down, be ready to play. And I feel like I've done that, and I got one more at least, and we'll see what happens. But I'm just going out there and trying to win games for this team. And if they want to put Carson back in, great. I'll be the best backup I can be to him and help him in any way I can. But for me, right now, I just go in there and try to do the best I can.
You mentioned earlier sometimes when the offense dulls out a little bit. Even going back to your college days, that up-tempo spread style of offense, you've had a lot of success. Is that something you bring up to Scott or other guys maybe to speed things up to maybe catch the defense off guard or something like that?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's just, it's kind of tougher in the NFL. Obviously I feel very comfortable in those situations, the 2-minute situations. But again, you try and do a 2-minute offense with 10 minutes left in the first. You're not going to get the same type of defense that you would get in a 2-minute defense. So I understand what you're saying, but that every week I go in, I'm very excited about the game plan that Scott puts together, and we all have full trust in it, and it's just us executing it better. So I think if we can just do that, that wouldn't even be a topic, I think.
I know you guys always want to sustain drives, but considering the team you're up against, is it more important this week, especially considering how much they run the ball, how physical they are?
Yeah, obviously it's a really good team that we're going against, and the best defense is staying on the field as an offense. So if we can sustain longer drives, keeping that offense off the field, and hey, maybe if it does stall out, let's flip the field position and make them go the whole field. And the last thing you want to do as an offense is give the other team a short field, which we did versus Minnesota, and you saw how that ended up. So, for us offensively, it's get first downs, convert third downs, and ultimately when you get down the red zone, score. So, again, the longer that we stay on the field, it's better for us.
What are the keys to doing that?
Again, I think the biggest thing is converting third downs. That's the biggest play throughout every drive. If you can do that, you're eating up a lot more time off the clock and giving yourself a better chance to score. So I think if we could do that, we'll be in better shape. Thanks, guys.